Now, one of the many traditional wonders of Korea is Hanji, known for its beauty and durability. One way to dive into the limitless world of possibility.
Hanji is a strange term. This Korean word is now bringing together artists from various nations, notably in the past 10 years. Such as the appeal of Hanji, a traditional Korean textured paper manufactured from mulberry bark that dates back to the 3rd century. What makes Hanji so expensive? Let's see. Originating in China, Hanji eventually spread to Korea between the 3rd and 6th centuries, where it gained recognition and developed its personality. Over time, Hanji was even traded with China. Today, a single size of a large sheet of Hanji paper costs $22. What then sets Hanji apart from the other types of traditional paper? Aspects include durability, resilience, and material strength. The mulberry bark dak is first sun-dried to create a dried dak haekupi, which is then soaked in water for 24 hours to permit the removal of the bark's outer covering. After removing the husk, the remaining bark bakupi is next cooked for a few hours in water containing buckwheat husk before being pounded on a stone surface. After being pounded, it is combined with the native plant sap known as a bika and dried as a sheet on bamboo supports. From this process, Hanji emerges, ready to amuse an artist's muse. Hanji is a versatile material that's valued in Korea. It's used for many purposes, including calligraphy, art, and clothing. Because of its strength, institutions like the Library of Congress and the Louvre use Hanji to restore books that date back centuries. What's the key to the strength and durability of Hanji? It's the long web-like fibers and the trading method of forming used in the process of sheet forming that make Hanji so durable. The process involves several laborious steps like booking, bleaching, and painstakingly cleaning each fiber with hand. The tough fiber is transferred to a machine where it is pulverized into a mashy pulp. Thus, we can say that the process is really tough. This essentially adds to the high cost of Hanji. The fine fiber is allowed to layer up in a frame by moving the frame with hands. The amount of fiber on the sheet and the direction of alignment determine the strength of the sheet. Moving the frame in one direction aligns the grain. But interestingly, the most expensive papers are made by bringing the frame in different directions so that the fibers align uniformly to give strong papers. Each amount of paper requires a different amount of fiber, and it is the experience of the craftsman that yields good quality papers. Careful sheet forming is very important, as fiber forming decides how many years a paper holds and lasts, especially when it's folded and handled roughly. This process can take as long as 4 years to learn, according to a practitioner of Hanji making. Hanji making requires utmost care, as the form sheets form the frames should be handled carefully, as it is still very delicate at this stage. Although automation can be used to substitute hand labor, it still requires close attention. Automated pumps can be used to speed up the process, but if you are distracted even for a second, then the paper can get thicker, which is undesired. What are the ingredients in the paper making process? Hanji requires simple ingredients like water, fiber, and glue. A natural glue made from the hibiscus root is used in the making of premium Hanji used for conversation. This glue disperses the fibers across the sheet. For a paper to be classified as permanent paper, it should be pH neutral, and the Hanji made from this kind of process is pH neutral. This type of Hanji is used for preserving old documents. One study found that Hanji aged 2 to 3 times slower than the historical rag paper used in medieval Europe. For making less expensive Hanjis, makers use chemical glue after Hanji is formed. It's set to dry on a hot plate, of which temperature can go up to 88 degrees Celsius. The dried, crisp Hanji is torn off the hot plate. The papers used for conservation are dried at a different temperature of 40 to 50 degrees. The numerous phases involved in the process affect the Hanji's texture and color, and the Hanji created by one artist may differ significantly from that created by another. Therefore, although the Hanji making technique has been well documented, the majority of artists who work with Hanji travel to Korea to learn the process from a master Hanji maker because it is his special method of processing that gives the paper its distinctive appearance. Hanji art is currently gaining popularity not just in Korea but also internationally. A Hanji paper might be considered a piece of art due to the way it is made, rather than just means of communicating ideas. The artwork of an artist undergoes a distinctive alteration with Hanji for the same reason. Therefore, these were just as many reference points in Hanji translated as the topics they support. Therefore, while Hanji translation examined ideas related to cross-cultural communications as well as problems with history, identity, migration, and memory, the content of Hanji itself stuck with the reader more. Traditional dolls made of Hanji, corded with twine Hanji fashioned into various forms, laser-cut Hanji pieces assembled screen-printed Hanji, inkjet prints, interlago prints, digital print on Hanji Korean paper, pieced, fold, machine stitch, tempera on silk and paper pulp, ink and photocopy transfer on Hanji paper, and embroidery were all featured in Hanji Translated. As Christine Grout points out, her Grossimus States series continues the Korean paper carving tradition of Jeonji while utilizing technology, specifically laser cutting, to push the limits of the medium. Similarly, Milwaukee-based artist Nimmo Raja, who also served as a curator of Hanji Translated, incorporated screen-printed and hand-cut maps as well as Hanji paper in her installation Blurred Boundaries. Using a method he learned from his tutor Seong Woo, Ravi Kumar Kashi stretched the fibrous bark by hand in one of his creations by carefully tugging and spreading it. Amy Lee, a Korean-American artist, papermaker, writer, and one of North America's foremost experts on the practitioners of Hanji, explains, "For the past 10 years, I have created art using paper that I make from plants in the traditional of Hanji. Hanji was employed in agriculture, home projects, worship, and even warfare. As a scholar and artist, it is my responsibility to follow this extensive historical thread in both directions by locating earlier Hanji roles and developing brand new ones for the present. In particular, as an American born to Korean parents, I create items for the area I occupy." She continues by claiming that Hanji itself is her most effective means of expression. Equally illustrative is artist Mana Browner's point that the history of Hanji in Korea is as material for building, rather than a substrate for picture making. During my first trip to South Korea in 2012, I was amazed by the indigenous objects, both historical and contemporary, that were made by the cutting, layering, twisting, gluing, and sewing of this paper to produce sewing boxes, lacquered containers, furniture, and even funeral garments. It is this allusion to function that I hope is conveyed in my work. Hanji's promotion of intellectual debates with roots in other civilizations is equally intriguing. For instance, Book of Destiny, an ink and photocopy transfer on Japanese Rakuten Hanji paper that depicts a grid on the leaves of a weathered open book, brings Ravi Kumar Kashi's artistic examination of the idea of karma to graphically. It is interesting to note that this ancient paper, which was once the province of statecraft and scripture and later served as a raw material for objects used in ritual and daily life, is now being investigated as artistic mediums and for topics including more technical ideas. This is made feasible by the adaptability of Hanji and the passion of modern Hanji enthusiasts to return to Hanji's origins and revitalize it as inspiration. This Hanji's high cost is attributed to the tedious process involved in its making. However, the paper makers are concerned with the declining demand for these durable papers. That's it, guys. Will you ever buy a Hanji paper to test its strength? Let us know in the comments, and also for more content like this, subscribe to our channel. Bye!